meeting order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, seems like just yesterday we were here. So do we have a motion
Except for Ron.
Except for Ron, yeah. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Have a motion? Have a second?
Second?
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment? Okay. Consent items. Do we have a motion to approve the consent items? Motion made. Second? Second. Mimi? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Discussion items, proposed budget FY20.
Okay, with the, are you getting, okay, with the proposed,
Or the other one isn't posted here, I'm sorry, I don't know where it is.
okay. With the proposed budget, we don't know what's happening, at the Capitol as far as where the funding will come in. And so there's a lot of unknowns here, which is why we did projection fiscal 20 with a 0 increase in funding from the state, a 1% increase in funding from the state, and a 3% increase in funding from the state, because that's kind of where the sliding scale is. You'll notice that this is just revenue, not expenses. We've got a lot of conversations about expenses. We do know one expense right now, just steps and lanes for the teachers, and the increase in the one contract that's settled with Local 70 is going to be a $44,000 bump for the on-site. We didn't compute that down below with the steps and lanes. It's, if I remember correctly, it's about $89,000 overall for steps and lanes and no Local 70. So, in looking at this, we need to start thinking about where we're going to spend the money. We talked about that in finance a little bit. It would probably make sense to buy another van. It would ease some of the tension on some of the bus routes, and it's easier to find a van driver than a bus driver. And we need a Gator or something like it. Preferably something just like a Gator without the cost of a Gator. But if a Gator is the only, we're securing quotes, let's put it that way. The other thing we need to talk about is with staffing. You just approved a resignation for a tech integrationist. We need to decide if we want to go with another tech integrationist or go with something else. And save some money there. We, most of our big ticket items, as far as the repairs and the upgrades that we've done, the science room, that will be done. That was a big ticket item. The HVAC system at the elementary, the roof at the elementary, the building here with the upgrades, we've done a lot of upgrades. And so we won't have those major projects moving forward. We've gotten most of that. If you look at the list of things we've gotten done this last year and in the previous years, those big expenditures won't be there, but we still have a lot of decisions to make as far as staffing and moving forward. So there's nothing to vote on yet. I'm hoping that legislatively they figure it out so we can have a better handle on where the budget is, so we can begin negotiating and get this adjusted budget, the proposed budget, in June.
We don't have any dates for negotiation with teachers.
We need to discuss when you guys can meet, so we can give the teachers some, I'd like to start working on language.
I was gonna say,
Even though we
some of the
can't-
language
Yep.
knocked out.
Yep, there's some it's not large language pieces, but it's somewhat testy language pieces. One section in particular about snow days is causing issues not only within the group, but also with the community. So we need to address that. Any questions? Anything that,
Maybe do you have anything?
Gwen, is there anything you wanted to, anything I forgot to cover that? Okay.
Okay, so FY19 adjusted budget?
Okay. This looks really ugly. It's what we were expecting. We were expecting deficit spending. And I know it looks like we're deficit spending 300,000, but if you looked at staffing and typical spending, we're still about 40,000 to the good as far as what we spent before. However, with the amount of projects that we did, looking at the list of projects, do you have that list of projects that?
Yeah, what I uploaded doesn't, I can't find it, so.
Okay.
We'll get that up there.
I will talk through it. In the adjusted 19 budget, so that the current year, we bought a bus for 83, almost 84,000. We bought a van for 34 because it was the high roof one. We fixed the garage for 25,000. We did the signs for 7,500. We've got the monitoring system finally in place from UNESCO, so that we can actually monitor and maintain the systems we've put in place here. We've got the technology budget, but we redid the water pipes. And redoing the water pipes was close to 50,000. We've got the science rooms in at, with the asbestos and the redoing of the science rooms and all the flooring, that's 317,000. So there was, if you add up everything we did in fiscal year 19, it ends up being $674,000. And so that's, the fact that we're just, the deficit of 300,
Do we have this slide?
she had that slide up before.
Oh, okay.
What did grants play a role in that?
Long-term facility maintenance with some of it, that's what I was talking.
Yeah, the list of projects.
Long-term facility maintenance, there was some revenue we got in fiscal year 18 that we didn't spend, so it looked like we had that money, but then it was taken away, cause if you don't use it, you lose it. And there are only certain things we can use long-term facility maintenance on. And we couldn't do the science rooms last year, we just were not ready to do science rooms last year and the abatement. So we kicked that can down the road, so there was, some of that funding wasn't there. Also the preschool playground, we got the money in fiscal 18 and we spent it in fiscal 19. And so fiscal 18 looked like we had more money than what we actually did. And so then the playground, if you look down at the bottom right-hand corner here, where it said undesignated reduced by, we had that, we knew right away we were going to be dipping into the undesignated fund for the bus, the van, and the garage. So right away, we knew we were starting with 160,000 deficit in the undesignated. Health and safety, we had to close that out. Health and safety doesn't exist anymore. And so we had to basically count that as an expenditure, and that's a negative against our fund balance. The preschool playground I just talked about, that's 61,000 that we got in fiscal 18. We had to spend it in fiscal 19, and so then it's a deficit in 19. The science rooms, the non-long-term facility maintenance that's going into fiscal 19 is 84,000. Next year, there will be another about 30,000, 27,000 that will have to come out of non-long-term facility maintenance to finish up that science room project of the non-long-term facility maintenance dollars. So when you're adding all of that up, what's actually, that's where I'm getting that we're actually 42 to the good.
Just to bring me up to speed here, the reason the plumbing was very costly,
Yes.
what was the reason behind that?
We, with the galvanized pipes, it was causing elevated lead levels in our, there were 3 faucets that we were not allowed to use at all, and there were elevated lead levels that we could use, but by changing over to the copper, it mitigated any of the lead concerns in our water.
So the water we're getting from the city though, is that not,
The water we're getting from the city didn't have high lead content. The water we're getting from the city has high radium content, which is why we needed to have the water softener installed at the preschool. The water softeners at the high school and the elementary school knocked down the radium levels to negligible, but the radium levels at the preschool were very high. So we installed water softener there, and that mitigated the problem.
but that
From the
was,
city water.
the city water was not adding lead?
The city water was not adding lead. The,
Okay.
city water, there were other, IEA, when they were testing our water, and I asked about the other heavy metals, and I said, definitely test for lead, but please test for other metals. They did take a test when it came in, and they said the water coming in didn't really have high lead content, had a lot of other high content.
That's probably why they're doing the city plant.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why they're doing the city plant, but, state of Minnesota cared about the lead, and, replacing our galvanized
Okay.
was it was really our only option, and so we were kind of,
And we've been getting breaks all the time. It's old.
Okay.
yeah, it's
So if we were
rusting.
gonna do it, we might as well just do it twofold, get it done.
Right. I just, that was before my time, so I had to
Yeah.
ask.
Well, and it's, as we talked about at finance, there are a lot of projects that we've gotten done, and so now we don't have to worry about the pipes here for 50 years.
Mhm.
Elementary roof is a 50-year roof. It's, a lot of the changes we've made are changes that will outlive most of us. That was kind of the point.
Yeah, it falls in line with the same with the tax structure in the city too. You know, the taxes, the assessed values had stayed relatively low, so we all got spoiled. We got kinda used to that. I own a rental house in town, and then all of a sudden, they tried, the state pushed them to get things on track better. And of course, that's a real awakening for the people in the city. So if you get any negative feedback, they were just brought up to, you know, where it should have been gradually coming to. Instead, it was a sudden jump.
Yeah.
And that's never fun.
And we're still going to be, we're slated to be at 7.5% for our fund balance, which is still higher than what it was when, 5 years ago. So,
Okay, so, any questions on the adjusted budget? Pretty good? Okay, there's potential, what is it? Applegate. That's right here.
okay, and what this is, I was looking for marketing things.
You want this on now or not?
Sure. So here's Casey, can you hear him?
We have
challenges
Oh, yeah.
they're facing. And what we keep hearing,
Sorry, I'm not used to it.
market the good things that are going on each and every day within their schools. But the problem that we keep running across is that the tools that school administrators have in education aren't remotely close to the tools that we have here in the private sector. So what we've done at Aptigee is we've developed a set of tools that are allowing school administrators to market the good things that are going on and build their school identity online. When it comes to the school identity, the first place that we should start is where our parents and community are going every single day. And right now, that's on mobile, because everybody's walking around with a smartphone. But the problem is, it has nothing to do with going out and getting an app. It's all about having a mobile strategy. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let's say I'm a parent. We get an app. As a parent, I download it, and I'm looking for something like a lunch menu, and this happens. The problem here is the app developer just took a shortcut and is kicking the user out of the app and sending you back to the school website. So what happens is people use this once and they don't use it again. That's where, again, it has nothing to do with having an app. It's all about a mobile strategy, and the most important part of that is the user experience. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let's say I'm that same parent. I open up a lunch menu, and with one click, I can get what's on the lunch menu for today. Upcoming school events, I can scroll through, add events to my personal calendar to make sure I remember to show up for it, because we've all been there where we didn't know when the game actually started. Things like staff directories. Again, we're not having to go to the school website, click around 3 or 4 times. We can actually get in touch with somebody on staff right here from within the app without having to go to the website to do that. So now that we've talked about the user experience, the most important part of the app from the administrator's perspective is the live feed. Because now with the live feed, you're able to start marketing all the positive stories that are going on, highlighting those stories of student success, your school culture and values, without having to kick your community away from your brand. The problem with going mobile for most school administrators is that if they go mobile, it's going to be one more thing that they have to manage. So that's why at Aptigee, we've created education's first publishing platform that allows a school to manage all of its content from one place. So now, as a school administrator, we can take a picture, post a story, and with one click, we can share that story through the school Facebook, Twitter, the live feed, which is going to be both the mobile app and the school website. You can send push notifications directly to the app, and when you need to, you can even send out text messages and voice calls with one click of this red publish button. It doesn't get any easier than that. With everybody getting their information online, your website's often the first touch point you have with your community. But it's more than just having a website. It's about using it to build your identity. So that's why all of our websites are built to be very clean, modern, and ADA compliant. So what you'll see is the live feed, the events, the news, those same content sections we went over on the mobile app are also reflected on the school website. So no one on the school administrative team is having to go in and manage things twice. Now I want to show you what our clients think is the best part, and that's ThrillShare Mobile. Because what we've learned is that those stories that reflect your identity aren't happening when you're sitting behind your desk. They're happening when you're out and about throughout the school. So that's why we've created ThrillShare Mobile, the first ever mobile publishing platform that allows you to be at an event. You can take a picture and post that story to the school Facebook, Twitter, app, and website right there from your smartphone. And in the event of an emergency, you can even send out text messages, voice calls, and push notifications with one click of the publish button right there from their smartphone. There's nothing like this right now in education. At Aptigee, we take a different approach. We know it's not about communicating anymore. It's about building your identity by showcasing those stories of student success, stories that reflect your culture and values, and marketing the good things that are going on. And that's one of the reasons that we've grown from 4 beta districts to over 600 in the period of 3 years. So we hope to see you soon, and thanks for watching.
And they've put together, basically a little brochure of everything that it is. It's just, it would be, you're going through,
Yeah, so this is posted online for you to look at.
with this, if there is a setup fee, because they do all the migration from our current website over to Aptigee. Things about this that are really a plus. Everything is connected. We had an incident or a situation this week where there was a game canceled and our athletic director was at Adaptive Bowling and couldn't get into her computer because she was on the bus on her phone and couldn't get the message out to parents that the game was canceled. And so with this, she could have just gone into her phone, updated it, message would have been sent, it would have been slick. The other thing is that you can't put anything on this website that's not ADA compliant. The website has safeguards in it to make sure that you're not putting something on there that has color variations that are not disability sensitive. It makes sure that your document is actually readable by those with disabilities, as far as font size, as far as headings. So we wouldn't have to have Site Improve anymore, because this has the Site Improve maintenance and monitoring built in. It has the phone and text messages built into it, so we wouldn't need to buy the Shout Point that we have to buy right now to adapt Infinite Campus to be able to do the phone blasts and the text messages. So it really is an all-in-one situation with Aptigee, and looking at what we're paying for our website and the other things that we need to make our website work and compliant, this is about the same price as that, other than the setup fee. It just,
So the setup fee you said is like $7?
the setup, if we decide to go with this before the end of May, it's $7,000. If we go into June, and I can say that we've got a board meeting June 6th, I can maybe see if they would extend the discount until the first week in June. It's $7,000 instead of $9,000.
And what do we pay for this Shout Point thing a year?
The whole thing on the board packet.
Oh, I know.
Yep. Yep,
You said-
2415.
Yep.
Site improvement is 36. And our school, now, you say our school down there, but then you said we're still gonna have to have some other our school?
Yes, our school, we're still going to have the scheduler, because every school for their sports calendar does a shared our school calendar, so that we have to have our school for sports. And Aptigee said that they're very aware of that, because almost everyone's sports calendars are our school calendars, so they work well with our school today. But every single page, so the district would have a page, and every school site would have a page within this. And with that, every single page is also ADA compliant. With our school today, our main page is, but when you start getting into the secondary pages, they're not. And so that's one of the things that we need to, we need something that is totally ADA compliant.
Doesn't Site Improve?
Site Improve monitors, and then it tells us where the Site Improve just tells us where the issues are, so we can fix them ourselves. It does the monitoring, it tells us when the website is down, it tells us what parts are not ADA compliant, it tells us which parts aren't following the WCAG 2.0. Yes.
So I have to sneak out in a minute, but I just wanna say, you know, we doing a website and all this is a huge undertaking, so it needs to be done at the right time, and I don't know if now is the right time, I don't know when the right time is, but not having a tech integrationist might not be the best time to do that. And I also think that if we're gonna do it, we have to do a lot more research, we have to look at what other options there are out there as well, and research them. And when you talked about, just for instance, when you were talking about Shout Point and how that goes on top of
Infinite Campus.
Infinite Campus, does does it integrate with Infinite Campus?
Yes.
Because that has all of our data. So
Right.
just stuff like that where, I mean, I really think you need to do your research. You need to make sure you do it, you know, at the best time as well, because it's a huge amount of work. So to get a new website and all of this stuff and all the new tools and the new person trained on it and all of that. So my 2 cents.
And that's,
May I speak just on that campus thing, what, you know, and I asked that question because I think that's really important. But all the groups that are set up, so if we say, you know, softball team and, you know, all those groups set up on campus, they're automatically migrated right over to this. And so it's an easy click of a button. So like Elisa on her phone can go boom, right like that. Because Infinite Campus, there's some states that are totally Infinite Campus. And so, yeah, they work with them quite well. Yeah, I was quite impressed with this. And as far as changing it over, they're doing all the work. So it's not like we're in a house and we're going to have our website until they cut it all the way over, which is really nice to do. Because sometimes, well, you need that live and it's a mess. They do all of that stuff. And so it's much easier because we haven't done much really to the general frame of our website forever.
and that's
That's what I was impressed with.
Yeah, we have been looking at other websites, but there hasn't been anything that's been different enough to warrant even going further into the research, because it's basically like another Our School Today website.
What, Ada Borup, who was the other one?
Kimball,
Ada Borup, Kimball,
Baroqua,
Viroqua, they all have this. So if you want to go online and look at what their websites are looking like, because they have this already, I think that's really important to do. Yeah, I was impressed. One button thing on your cell phone. That's good.
It was retaining our school. I can see that with the district because of the sports and their conferences. But why would we have to retain it for our community and registration?
it's part of this, that's part of the same,
Well, we have the facilities scheduler from our school, and so we need to have that still, because that's how we deal with all the facilities and for community ed, so that piece we have to have. The athletic scheduler is purchased by the conference anyway, but we have to have the other piece of it, because that's what Barb does for all the community ed, and that's, yeah.
But Schoology's got a schedule in it too.
Schoology does,
Yeah,
for a facility scheduler?
I think so.
I haven't seen or heard of anyone that's
Okay,
used
I
that.
use that.
But that wouldn't work well for us, because our school has the athletic one and it works with your facility one. So for scheduling an athletic event, we already have that saying, oh, the gym is, being used, Barb can't overschedule on that. So you almost need to have that, and I think every school in the state of Minnesota has our school as their athletic scheduler. In fact, the State High School League is trying to work with them now because they're without a tech person as well. They've been out for over a year without a tech person.
Now,
building.
it's just in the beta stage in most of these states. I think there's 800 schools that have it in the 50 states. So there's like 16 schools per state that have it.
Oh, for Apogee?
Yeah, if you look in the book or,
Yep,
But they're not in the beta stage
they're not in the
anymore.
beta stage,
No.
no, they're,
yeah, he said that there's 600 beta or something. That's
No,
No,
I think
he
he
said-
said they started with 4 beta schools,
They
and now
started
they're
with
over
4.
600 in 3 years.
they're in 47 states.
47, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how many schools in 47? 800?
800 total,
So that's
about
basically.
20,
It's about 20
yeah.
schools per state,
Pretty good.
so.
And he said that a lot of the smaller schools are using them just because it is so much easier for administrators to take this on, take it over, and they don't have to hire a website developer. They don't have to hire a website person to do all the communications person to update it.
But the greatest part of it is that you'll be able to do it as an app on your smartphone, whereas your websites and stuff, a lot of times are not. Yeah, made for smartphones. They're not an app, they're a website instead.
Yeah,
So
we
they
can't,
don't- They're harder to see, to read.
can't update Canvas from a phone.
Well, even reading them and migrating through them is harder.
But it's just for information, and,
So you want a decision by June?
if
If
the
we
board
decide
doesn't,
to- Basically, if
We
we
don't
need,
meet again until June.
right.
yeah, we don't meet again
I mean,
until
do
June.
you have any questions, Mike, on it? I mean, you may have questions later.
Yeah, I have lots of questions. I think it's a big decision to make, when we're just getting it. I agree that the website, I've asked for, I think Lisa's done a nice job of making the website seem very alive. She uploads pictures and makes it, I've looked at this Apogee a little, it sounds like it's a marketing tool, but I'm not sure who we're gonna market to. And we're paying a fee for each of our students, so there's a fee for our enrollment, right? So we're paying a certain fee for our local students and a different fee for our online students, but we're paying for this site that we could then, I mean, I just think we've gone from needing to upgrade significantly to now we're making a huge decision that may answer all the questions. I just don't think I'm ready to rush into it. I
Okay.
just have a lot of questions. Because I think these companies, this is a young company, there are data scientist companies popping up all over the place. Customized stuff for private companies costs a ton, but it's worth having a few options to look at and see if there's something we could do that's customizable and that could be programmed to be ADA compliant to meet our needs, and then compare that, just side by side, what are our savings and what are our costs? So I kind of agree with Mimi. It's a little bit of I'm a slow thinker, so I'll defer to the rest of the group, but I'm
Gene,
not
did you have anything
comfortable
else?
with it.
Oh, I read that group over and listened to his thing.
Have you talked to these other schools? How long have they been using this?
Well, the company's only been in existence for 3 years. So,
Like some of
but
the
I can-
schools, I mean,
I can definitely, I know that, there are several schools that have gone away from our school as far as their main website, post. And so I can talk to the other superintendents that no longer use our school and find out what they are using and what they like about it, and if it is, if it does the monitoring for ADA, so I can definitely find more information. It's just, at the board meeting, I was asked to find things about marketing, so I brought it in.
No. Pete, do you have any?
Yeah, we obviously gotta look at it more because you're kinda under the gun, and I always laugh when it's like, yeah, if you decide by June, then it's only 7,000, but otherwise it's gonna be 9, That's a tactic that we use in sales, so, yeah, we need to look at it more
Okay,
and find out what other schools,
yep, I will,
definitely their feedback on it.
I will get feedback, and there'll be just another discussion item in June as
Right.
far as other websites that are used, people's.
Have you had a conversation with Joe on this? Is he?
Joe, attended the meeting with us, and he said this looked, he said very promising. He said that's a hefty setup fee.
Okay, so I think him being part of this conversation and knowledgeable about what else might be out there, he needs, and I'm not saying he's not, but I would like to know that he's
Oh, no, that
contributing
it's,
to the conversation.
yeah, he was, part of the, we had a meeting on Wednesday to actually get through some of it wasn't a sales call as much as it was this is how it works, these are kind of the nuts and bolts, this is how you do this is how this looks, this is how you make this decision, these are the options. And so with that, Joe we didn't want him sitting through a sales call if we didn't think it was something that we were even interested in, but as far as something that was interest, then we brought Joe in to say, okay, what do you think? Would this work for us? Would it be, is it worth it? Is it,
I almost think it's like a marketing subgroup should talk about this from a marketing point of view. The tech committee should talk about it from a technology point of view. Finance committee should be aware of it from savings and costs. And, you know, personnel to run it. I mean, it seems easy, and it might be, but
There's more to it.
it seems to me that there's, but I like the ADA compliance built into it. It's like the only one out there that has that, but I think there are companies that can program that. That's all I'm saying. I think that that's not impossible anymore in this day and age.
Okay, so we'll just have it in the next meeting,
that'll
and if
be
there's
another.
questions, send them to you, Grant, or? Okay. Old business, items for discussion and approval. Approval of the year e-learning plan.
This has gone through, lots of meetings, a couple of iterations. The teacher group, the teachers union asked us to include the actual statute language, so that is, on there. They also requested that we remove a line that said that it could be used when, students are not able to be in the building. I was thinking of some other times when we've had to call off school due to water main breaks and, power outages. And the statute does say just inclement weather, so that's all that's addressed within the e-learning plan. The question was asked about whether teachers were included in creation of this e-learning plan. Teachers were invited to every meeting that we had on it. There was one teacher that was there at every meeting, but there were 4 teachers who were invited to every single meeting.
How many meetings did we have?
3 or,
Wasn't that many, so, I mean,
yeah,
it was the tech, on-site tech group, or was there a group within the school that met besides that?
no,
So there were like 2 meetings where we actually,
was it just 2?
I think,
Okay.
So we're looking to approve this tonight, right?
Well, we did talk about it at board meetings before.
Yeah.
It's not like this has come out of nowhere.
No, I just was,
And it's not that we're not doing this with a great deal of thought, and we have been talking about e-learning days. That subcommittee is the subcommittee that was charged with just writing it. But as a group as a whole, we've talked about e-learning days and the need for e-learning days, at several meetings.
so do we have a motion to approve the e-learning day plan?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Further discussion on it?
We had it tied in kind of with, also with the Chromebooks, because so that they would have a computer at home to work with, so we spend time with the Chromebook policy as well as, and the use of that together home is on the e-learning, because they kind of work together. You couldn't have one without the other one.
The other question that's come up is whether this contradicts any of our contract language. By statute definition, an e-learning day is not a snow day, it is a regular contract day. So there is nothing in this that contradicts any of the existing contract language.
Okay, further discussion? Right, Ron? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of the take-home procedures and insurance form.
This was also something that we had looked at, this is a basic template protection plan agreement. It would be for every high school student, because the high school students are the ones that would be taking home Chromebooks. We decided that it probably would not be in a student's best interest to take home the computer if they're elementary aged. And so this is the language actually that Dependable Solutions has created for us. There are some changes that we have made to it as a group. The group decided that instead of the amount that was on the original plan that we got from Dependable, they felt that $25 per student was enough, or $100 family max. Then the coverage shall be limited up to a replacement cost of the device. Once the total amount is reached, a new fee will be required to receive plan coverage for the remainder of the school year. So let's say they kill their whole computer, so then they'll need to do another, because Mimi asked about $100, they would need more than 4 kids at the high school. And I said, or they would need to kill a couple computers in 1 year. And then they could possibly reach the family max.
What's the plan on getting the money? How are they billed for this?
This is a fee, like a sports fee that they would pay at the beginning of the year. They do have that choice of opting out. As a parent, they can opt out, but then they do know that they agree to pay in full for any repair that's needed if their child has caused damage to any of the Chromebooks. And then the other thing that the committee asked to be added is the parent has the right, if you could scroll down, thank you. The parent does have the right to say, I don't want my child to take home a Chromebook. We had a committee member that said that she wasn't sure if she would trust her child with the responsibility of taking home a Chromebook. So we want to make sure that parents have that right to opt out.
And if they opt out, what happens?
They still gotta do the work.
They still have to do the work,
They would have to get on their own.
but
Get
there
their
are,
Chromebooks in school during the day, but they don't
Yeah.
take them home, so they still have a Chromebook to use within the school,
And
right?
if they damage them,
Yeah.
if they damage them, they pay the full cost of the damage. But they can use their own computers at home,
sure,
so that's gonna cover a lot of people.
yeah, it could.
Good.
We just want to make sure that everybody
We have to
has
have this for
the
the
options.
e-learning, we have to have this.
Is there a minimum required for the insurance? Do they have a number that?
It's a self-insurance, so we're just holding the pot of money.
And we are putting safety covers on the Chromebooks that covers about $40 each, so that we hopefully wouldn't have as much breakage either.
Mhm.
And we'll have to self-insure for it.
Okay, so do you have a motion to approve the take-home procedure?
Motion.
Is that second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Season pass pricing.
Okay, this is with the, and did you get that extra thing that I sent with?
Is that it?
Okay,
I had several, I wanted to make sure I
Right.
got the right one.
Yep. Okay, so this is, Lisa found, the family pass cost for area schools. This is what a family pass costs in, other schools. If there's none, there's no family pass, they just pay for the adult fee and the student fees individually. With Houston, after hearing the concerns, from what was proposed at the last meeting, we could do $60. A $60 would be a family pass for a single parent family. And it shouldn't say one child, it can be, with children, with a child or children. And then $90 is for, a two-parent family. Because that was the conversation last time. So that is what, we're presenting or proposing here,
So
is
there's
to
a
go
motion.
for,
So we're well below it.
we're well below everybody.
Yeah.
The adult will stay at 40, the senior citizen will stay at 25. And so then there will not be a couples pass, nor will there be a student's pass. But once again, for students to come in sixth grade below, they need to come with a parent.
So do we have a motion to approve?
I do, so move.
Got a motion, do I have a second? Second, we're on. Further discussion on it? Again, I think like Pete said, price-wise, we're way below other local schools. You know, I think we're trying to invite people to come to the events, you know, in my mind.
And there will be lots of communication about the fact that if for those sixth grade below need to come with a parent, there will be a lot of communication about that. We just can't have carloads of kids dropped off and,
No, we don't want to be Mall of America.
I think it's a great program, because in reality, you don't generate that much money overall from, you know, the gate receipts. Because you think of some of your gate receipts, baseball, softball, you don't get anything.
right.
So, you know, you're basically looking at what they call the major sports, and it isn't that much.
No, it's a good deal.
So if a parent comes and they bring their child, with their child has a friend that wants to come too, and the child's parent doesn't want to come, would that child be allowed to get in if they had a letter saying that they, at this time, that this mother was the guardian or overseer, or would they not be allowed in?
I think that's what we discussed.
Yeah.
That's
Last
the
time.
last
The guardian coming in with children is responsible.
Yeah,
I guess
responsible.
that's up
So
to,
they'd be the guardian.
Yeah,
that's up to the
the
school
gatekeeper.
as to if they want to require a letter, you
Yeah.
know.
I don't know that we.
They won't have the pass. The pass will have the kid's name on it
Right.
with the parent. So they're not gonna be allowed to get in unless they have the parent there. Because that's
Well,
where the
what
pass is
was-
gonna be.
Remember the discussion we
Yeah,
had
what
last
was,
time?
yeah, the discussion
was-
of
The
what if we
discussion
have
was
a
always
friend?
like your brother
I can't- I
brought
thought
you, your
we-
older brother or cousin or something brought you in and they're 18.
They were gonna have a sleepover and they were gonna come to the game and they don't.
I don't think it comes up very often. I really don't.
No?
I don't think,
I don't know, if you talk to the athletic director, I bet you'd find that that's a rarity rather than a commonality, you know, for something like that to happen.
I'll call Todd. It's my answer.
Yeah,
The bottom line is, I mean, we don't wanna be babysitting these
No.
elementary kids.
No.
And that's what's happening, you know, so this is really a two-part piece. Allowing the high school 7th through 12th graders to get in, you know, free, but making sure that the elementary kids are supervised by their parents. That is really what the twofold proposal was. It wasn't separate parts. It was twofold. And then the other piece, just a reminder, you know, approval of this, the family pass, the $20 extra for staff members if they wanna put family pass onto their employee pass
Right.
already.
Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second. Any further discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. IEA 3-year contract.
It is already 3
Yeah.
years, I can't believe that. And really, I could go out for other quotes, but they're the only pony in the race, actually. The only other one we could get quotes from is Steve Musser, and he's not taking other contracts, which is why we got handed off to IEA 3 years ago. They're trying to keep the fees down. So, it's let's see, the first year, it's 4,000, second year is about 41 and a half, and then the second year is 42 and a half.
And what were the fees?
It jumped up, the fees before were 36. So it jumped up about 400 for the next year. But they are doing a nice job,
Oh, we really don't have options, so.
no.
So we have a motion to approve the IEA figure contract?
So move.
A motion, I have a second?
Second.
Second?
No, they work with SSC, like Southeast
Yes,
Co-op.
Yep.
So when we're members of Southeast Co-op, so I mean, they're gonna try getting us our best buy.
right, that this is the first time that we're under that SSE contract, so it's the same price that all the other Southeast Service Co-op schools are paying.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of the 2020-2021 school calendar.
Okay, and I promised Mimi's not here, but I promised in bringing this up, we can approve this calendar and be working on it, but we also, Mimi would like us to start talking at least about a balanced calendar.
Oh, I see.
Caledonia is doing a balanced calendar. Well, they're talking about doing a balanced calendar. They had a meeting last night, and Craig Erkey let me know that there seemed to be more interest in it's called the 4510 balanced calendar, and you can see Caledonia has 184 teacher days and 174 student days, just like we do. And so there would be, school would start the beginning of August, go for 45 days, there would be a 10-day fall break, go for another 45 days, we would have 3 weeks, basically, at Christmas. Go for another 45 days, there'd be a 2-week spring break, and then we would have about 8 weeks in the summer. So all of June and July, we would still not have school. So then in June and July, if we wanted to do a 15-day summer school, we still could. This would take, it would just be for the on-site school, not the online. It would take contract language. It would take all kinds of other things, so we're not ready to do it for 2021. That would really be pushing it.
What did the legislature say? Cause didn't they
If
pass some,
the legislature said that you can't start before Labor Day unless you have an alternative calendar,
oh, okay.
and this would count as an alternative calendar.
Okay.
Because it's the 4515 is the calendar that, there's an Austin school that has it, there's a couple of Rochester schools that have it, not all of the schools within Rochester, so you can, basically lobby to get in to one of the Rochester schools that has the 4515 calendar. You still get the summer break, but it's basically a month and a week.
How did the teachers like this?
There are some teachers that request to be in the balanced calendar schools, and there are those that request to be in the traditional calendar schools. So the 2 schools that have it around us though are large enough so that they've got some schools that are on the traditional and some schools that are on the balanced. We don't have that luxury, other than MMVA will stay on the traditional just because of the enrollment window, just because of the different systems and upgrades that we have to have those summer months to do that. So going to a balanced calendar there is not gonna be feasible, but we could look at a balanced calendar for the on-site. And
discussion stuff.
It's just a discussion thing.
Like you said, there's a lot of work to even start changing. You're looking at years.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, contracts need to be adjusted. We needed to talk how that affects the brick and mortar and the online, since we have both. As far as
Sports calendars
administration,
stay
sport, I mean,
exactly
there's
the
just a lot
same.
of going on there, a lot of wheels moving, so.
Yep, sports calendars stay exactly the same. So as far as, saving on heating costs during that, 3-week winter break, there will still be kids here every day of that 15 days because there still will be practicing for sports. We will still have the WANAC going at that point.
What's considered the big advantage of it, then?
No loss of learning.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Well, I read through this proposal that was in there, and it was also possible more optimized professional development days for the teachers, rather than before school, after school. I don't know how you do that, but it sounded like that was a possible benefit of having this, because you have it a whole day at the end or the beginning.
And there's,
rather than
you got a catch-up time in there too, that you can catch up with students
students who
behind.
are.
You'd be able to do a week
But that's
intensive.
all contract language
Right.
changing
Yeah.
and stuff.
Well, it is, but I mean, that's, you gotta explore all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd wanna make sure it's all in the contract.
Or you go overseas, take some of the schools, countries that have very high education, they got almost year-round
Oh,
school.
yeah.
So it's,
Yeah,
if we want to have our students being excelled, look at that too, advantage, I think.
Okay, and the reason that I'm bringing that up is now we're going to the 2021 calendar. The teachers, there was a group of 5 teachers that created what we have come to term as the loose calendar. That calendar, has to start after Labor Day, but it doesn't get out until the end of, or the middle of June. And then there's the tight calendar that gets out the first week in June. This is the tight one. We have to go to school the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We have to go to school December 23rd. But at least this way we get out June 3rd and June 4th is graduation. We still get the Thursday before Easter and the Monday after with this calendar. It is just a hard grind to the end.
So this is one we're improving, correct?
With this is one, or the other option, this is the one, do you have the loose one in there?
No, I just put this one in because that's what the teachers voted on. I
Right.
No, the
misunderstood
loose
that.
one's in there, or it
It
was when
was
I
in the
looked at it.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
I'm leaving for France on June 7th.
It's not the same format, but
So we're approving the loose or the other one?
well, the teachers
Teachers
voted,
voted
the
on the
majority of teachers voted for the tight.
yeah, cause I redid, so they were both the same format,
Well,
okay.
oh, maybe this is the tight one in a different format.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Oh, okay. So the loose, oh no, it says here, good, and last day was June 11th. on this
Yeah.
one.
So,
The teachers group made a loose one that ended the middle of June where there was, they didn't have, we were getting out of school December 21st. And there was a full, week at Easter time. But then when the teachers voted on it, 70% of the teachers voted for the tight calendar and not the loose calendar the teacher group had created.
so we're going with the tight one,
And
right?
that's overwhelmingly what the teachers wanted. And it's the administrative created calendar, cause it kind of, neither calendar's good. I'm not gonna say that I'm in love with either one. When Labor Day is that late and we can't start before Labor Day, it's just, there's not a good calendar. But I think the tight one's going to serve us better than the loose.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the tight calendar for 2021.
I'll make a motion to
We
approve.
have a motion to approve, do I have a second? Anybody? Second?
Who are you
See,
giving it
Pete?
to?
Ron,
Ron,
Okay.
okay?
I was giving it to the clock.
Okay, is further discussion? All in favor?
Well, just for discussion, I would like to pursue the discussion of the balanced calendar in some sort of, I don't know, whether it's a sub-task force or somebody for the board to be involved in that process.
Caledonia, is having a meeting, a potential meeting to discuss it, and I forgot to write that down. But I will get you the information, and Craig Erkey said that anyone from Houston that would like to attend that meeting, so we can talk about maybe having even a consistent calendar. He's also invited Kevin Cargill and board members from La Crescent, and Rachel Udstun and board members from Spring Grove, so that we can maybe do a Houston County balanced calendar meeting as well. So I will give you the date and the time, so we can just see if anybody can attend that meeting.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, is it coming up soon?
Yeah,
Or-
so,
Yes, and I'm sorry, I thought
I just was
I'd
thinking,
written that down, yes.
we have to, not have the whole board go. I was just
Right.
thinking we should have some sort of task for, we should create, whoever's interested, I think Mimi's interested in it, I'm not sure who else is interested.
Once
in
you
it.
get the date and set it out, then ask who's interested,
Yeah,
and
and
then
go
we
from
can,
there.
Right,
you know, cause there may
Okay.
only be 2 or 3 of us who
Yeah.
wanna go, so that would be, you know,
Yep.
work. And if
Okay.
there is more than that, then we need to do, you know,
nope, I will send that out, it'll be the first bullet in the superintendent update,
okay.
and then it will be a let me know.
Okay. Okay, further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Policies for second reading, we have one policy, we have a motion to approve policy 903.
so move.
Okay. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. New business. Discussion and approval of the non-renewals based on the uncertainty of enrollment.
Uh,
Have a list there.
yeah.
We have a motion to approve.
We have to, can we do one motion, but then we have to roll
Yeah,
call
we have
vote,
to roll.
right?
Yes,
But do we have to do a motion for each one, or can we blanket them since they're all the same reason?
you can blanket all of these because it's all the same reason, but we do need a roll call vote.
Okay.
So we have to have a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
And a second, okay. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Thank you. And we're hoping that they can be with us next year, that we have the enrollment to call them back. But right now, we just have to, it's hard to see them go. Some are relatively new hires, some have been here. Like Maria Felton has been here for a long time, and it's hard to see some of those go, but we just have no idea what's going to happen with seventh Cinnamon.
Is there any seniority or bumping that affects any of this?
Since they are all non-renewals, none of them are tenured.
Oh, so somebody who's been here for a long time is a non,
As someone who's been here for a long time, instead of a non-renewal, they would be a unrequested leave of absence. And so we don't have any unrequested leave of absence. None of these are tenured in the Houston district yet. Some of them are right on the verge of becoming tenured, but we're non-renewing them before they're tenured. If they're on here and then we call them back and they're on that verge, then they would become tenured.
Or the one on Summit Learning Center, I mean, we were cutting back, so I mean, is that, so that's not gonna be a probably you
No.
would.
No, 'cause they're not
Well,
tenured.
Yeah, but if she's got tenure.
No, she
No,
doesn't.
have to.
None,
Right.
none
That's
of
what I
it.
That's what I'm
But
asking though, she
but
said she'd been here a long time,
also-
so.
But
She
she's
was here.
close.
the
She was
unknown
a
enrollment,
para for quite a few years
Oh.
in Summit.
So do we do the same thing if it's a non-licensed? If this is a para, should it be the same
so
resolution?
she's a teacher now. She was a para years before she became a teacher.
Oh, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then that explains, thank you, that explains
Okay.
The longevity.
the longevity, the seniority,
Yeah.
the question I was trying to
Yeah.
ask.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry, I misunderstood.
So, no,
But
no, it's months.
with Summit, if we get the enrollment where we need to hire more, then yeah, we would definitely call her back, cause she was good, but right now, it doesn't look like we're gonna have enough.
So, announcements, sporting events?
Did you vote on that? Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
did the roll call, never mind, I'm losing it.
Okay, sporting events, anything coming up that we need to know about? Other than the Caledonia thing?
Caledonia thing, and I'll get that to you.
Okay. Meeting and committee updates, tech advisory,
You saw the e-learning plan and you saw the, computer, use contract,
who's,
the agreement.
Mimi and Jean and I
We're
are
all
on
three there.
you guys have anything you wanna add to
that. No,
this?
we already acted
You
on
had-
it.
I know, but is there anything you wanna add about it that you
No,
discussed that needs to, okay. Finance committee, okay, I guess I'm the only one that was there, we already talked about it, we already approved the adjusted and the proposed. We kinda went over the dollars as far as rolling over from one year to the next, so.
Are you gonna be meeting again to
Yeah.
discuss some of
Yeah.
these expenditures?
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Oh,
meet
yeah.
again, cause we'll probably have to look at what Todd and Rick wanna look at doing down the road as far as those proposals. We have to have a facility meeting, correct?
Correct.
To get that from them, so we can start looking at what next. I know we don't have any big projects as of right now, but we still need to discuss what.
Well,
next.
the asbestos abatement, isn't that on this?
That's already in
That's already
the works for the science project.
even though, okay,
Right, that
Yeah.
was, of the 317,000, the abatement was 108,000. That,
And that's the
that's
science
fiscal,
room
that's
abatement.
fiscal
Okay.
19, yep. That's all 17 classrooms here. And so we will be able to, once this summer project is done, if we need to have school all year round, we'll never have to close a room to wax it again. So we actually will be in a place where we could do a balanced calendar if we wanted to.
But otherwise, in finance, we just talked about quotes and getting more information.
and the proposed budget is due by the end of June, what's the date?
That's what we talked about that with Gwen.
Is there a date that we need to have a proposed budget
Yeah,
by June 30th?
we're just hoping that the state gets their ducks in a row, so we have proper information, so.
It's still May.
June's right around the corner though,
They might
Mike.
be better on the hour,
Um,
can't get that 3% here.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there.
I attended a meeting at HVED and found out that we were not told about some of the tuition billing, that the amount of tuition billing we were going to get. When they closed WIN, all of the costs of WIN got earmarked to Spectrum. So those of us that have children at Spectrum now have the cost of that tuition billing doubled. And we were not told that that's the way they were going to do that, because they said they were taking the WIN students and the teachers and going up to Sale with them. So I was not aware until I saw the budget that there was going to be sizable tuition billing, and I sent an email, probably rather tersely worded, that said I was not happy with finding out the way I did. And also, there are some staffing changes that were happening within the last 2 days, and as a member of the budget committee, we didn't talk about budget staffing cuts, and except an employee was told yesterday she was going to be cut, and today I met with people saying that they wouldn't be able to provide direct service because of the staffing cuts. And I have serious qualms.
Do you know what it is?
I knew the WIN program there.
Yeah, but do you know what the change in the financing,
No.
that wasn't discussed at your meetings?
I didn't
So
know it
who
till
has to approve that type of,
it wasn't the superintendent's and it wasn't the.
I mean, he's on the committee, I mean, you'd think that would have come across the board and,
Gene's
you
been-
know,
Gene's been-
discussed it before they
Gene's been
decided
attending board meetings. It
No,
doesn't
he's
come up in-
been
it hasn't come up
Johnny
in
on
their
the
board
spot,
minutes.
man, on that, so.
I've been going to every superintendent meeting,
Yeah.
it hasn't come up there. I'm on the budget committee, it hasn't come up there.
Who's in
Until-
charge that made
So
that
what
decision?
can we do
That's-
about that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what are the other superintendents saying? All of a sudden we get, you know.
Oh,
this-
my phone has been blowing up today, yeah. So I'm not the only one that's feeling this same. I just wanted to let you guys know that,
That's not right. I mean, it's supposed to be more of a collaborative, it's supposed to be the communication together, make things happen better for the students and work together and
The
budget
WIN-
properly.
The WIN person or the person in Caledonia has resigned, so.
but it's also, right now, it's supposed to be economically beneficial for us to be part of this ed district,
Right.
and right now, it is not.
So, but the tuition, like, where's the federal reimbursement, or it's not covering, the tuition is not covered by federal reimbursement?
Federal
funds?
reimbursement covers some, and that's the other thing, we're trying to actually get HFED to tell us how much of their budget, they'll tell us how much is federal, but because we are part of an ed district, all of our federal dollars funnel right to HFED, we don't see how much is earmarked to just us. So we don't know.
So each school doesn't know what their funding is that's provided to.
No,
HVAC.
because it's provided to HVED as a lump sum.
Well, someplace in their sacred journals, they must know how much each one is, for gosh sake.
Well, they did switch over from their accountant now to a company that's doing the accounting, and they have found that there is some federal dollars that we weren't getting that we could, or something, I think he found out.
And right now, because of that switchover, there are some things that we're seeing that we have not seen before. And so right now I have a great feeling of unease. And I just,
More to come on that.
yep.
Be curious with it.
Well, I asked a question at one of the meetings, one of my first ones that I was there, because I looked over the budget, you know, and there was a Merchants Bank, a Visa card, and it was like 7,000 or something. I says, breakdown of that account or anything, what would you do on a Visa account?
Yeah,
They kind of all looked at me,
why you question it, dude?
yeah.
So with the HVED contract comes up in the fall for renewal, right? Isn't it in the fall?
Mhm.
So get precious little time for another big thing to think about if there are options apart from renewing, looking at our population, our student needs.
Since we are part of this ed district, we can join an ed district right away. It takes you 2 years to leave an ed district.
Okay,
Unless the ed district disbands or in some other way separates.
What if they falsify information, don't tell you everything? I don't wanna say fraudulent stuff, but I'm just saying, they don't inform you. I mean, it's your
We're looking-
monies,
We're looking into all kinds
you
of
know,
things.
I would,
It's just,
So with that increase, we're probably paying over 5,000.
Well, I think you gotta wait till you get some answers.
yeah,
Or
when we find
Yeah.
something out, we'll find out what's going on.
Find out
So,
the answers and,
I'm just surprised that you,
because we all
and
wanna
they
know.
didn't know, you know, I'm surprised nobody knew about it ahead of time, and then it just happens.
Here we have a person on the committee and they don't even know.
we got two,
We
on
got
two
two people on the
committees that
committee.
should be.
Yeah.
Well, the budgeting committee, one that goes to the meetings, it's like,
Yeah,
so I just,
so-
just wanted to keep
Well,
you
keep-
all informed.
Okay.
Do we have anybody we should get some advice from on this,
We're-
MSBA, lawyers?
Another soup and I are asking questions at MDE.
Okay. More to come. Board, any feedback, future agenda items?
Yes, there will be a new contract for Hiawatha Valley Mental Health. We met with representatives from Hiawatha Valley Mental Health, and we can decrease the amount that we spend for that contract with them by $1,000 for $3,100, and increase the amount of time that we have the counselor here to 2 days from the 1.5. We have had students on the waiting list, and that's not, we don't want any student on a waiting list for weeks waiting for mental health counseling. That's just not wise. And the more we can get just one agency providing, instead of having multiple different vendors or different therapists coming in to counsel, makes things easier for our counselor and social worker to really be partnering as far as watching what's going on during the day. So that will be coming up on the June 6th board meeting.
Anything else?
Well, we have a meet and confer meeting this next week, right?
And policies meeting next week also, right?
Yes. And we need to talk about negotiations. So when the negotiators, and Josh left, but we need to know when we can schedule a negotiations meeting so we can start talking contract language.
Do they have dates that they gave you that they're available?
No,
mean-
they said that they are flexible,
Okay. I'll
so,
talk to, maybe I'll give Josh a call and see what days work best for him and Ron,
and then get back to me right away.
he's flexible. Aren't you, Ron? Most of the
I
time?
can't touch my toes anymore. Oh, is that pretty much?
Okay, so, nothing else?
So who's going up, are you going up to graduation?
Oh, yeah, graduation at
And June,
June 2nd,
Kaufman Hall. It'd be June 2nd.
second. right?
Sunday.
Sunday.
June 2nd.
Because no one got back to me that they were,
Find a reason for that.
I'm unable, I have a family thing.
hopefully a fun family thing.
Well, graduations of nieces and nephew type things.
Oh, that's a
So,
fun family.
Yeah,
That's the problem on that, you always got
Yeah.
graduation parties
Yeah.
down here
Yeah,
Right.
that you gotta give up a few.
Well, it's certainly a possibility. Are you going?
I'll have to check on when my graduation parties are.
We got a couple we're supposed to go
don't
to.
wanna miss a party.
Right.
well, once,
Yeah, that would be the biggest thing, is missing
let me know,
a foodie someplace.
because we will, not have another meeting prior to graduation.
We can email you.
So,
Well, that's-
graduation, who will be, our board chair will be on the stage, and will our clerk be on the stage, or I find out?
You have to ask her.
I would assume. she
I would assume so. We,
That's who
said-
signs it, so they
the
should.
diplomas
those
are
people
supposed to
should
come in
be on
tomorrow in
stage.
theory, so.
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Gotta check with my time manager.
You can check with Mimi to see, I'm assuming she'll be up there though.
I'll check my
Yes.
book.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
That's what I'm-
So moved. Okay, got a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Opposed, okay, thank you.
Your own time.
Well, 10 minutes late, but
Oh,
we'll make it.
okay.